Today we have a track that the vocal was mixed too loud. What I'd like to do is go over different things that can be done to tame that vocal and push it back in the mix in a very natural way using UAD plugins. Now I don't want to stray from what we've been doing as far as the corrective process goes, so let's go ahead and play the track and we'll evaluate what needs to happen. We definitely know the vocal's going to be too hot, but let's also look at what else needs to take place. Okay, the first thing I hear is I think there's a little bit too much low end in the sides, mainly due to that tom hit that's panned hard right. And the other thing I want to take care of is that vocal that may be a few dB too hot. So let's start with the UAD BXEQ.
Where has passion gone of our glory days?
Hopefully everyone remembers the solo function on the BXEQ from the earlier video. And now I'm done with what I want to do with the sides. So let's focus on the middle where the vocal lives. And let's find the most peaky frequency of that vocal.
Where has passion gone of our glory days?
Okay, that helps a lot. Now let's narrow that Q. And then we'll A-B with the plug-in on and off.
Where has passion gone of our glory days?
So that's helping a little bit, and we've taken care of a few other things in the process. Let's move on to our next plug-in, the multiband compressor, to see if we can get that vocal to sit just a little better than that. Okay, now we have opened the UAD Precision Multiband Compressor. There are a lot of functions on this compressor. You can choose your band, low frequency, low mid frequency, high mid, and high frequency. What we're going to do now is go to high mid frequency, which is the peakiest range of that vocal track. We have attack control, release control, gain, ratio, and threshold. So let's play the track and see what we need to do.
Where has passion gone of our glory days? When our heart's desire was to seek your face, and we gave our lives to the narrow way, living out your love.
Okay, so our compression is only kicking in between 2.63 and 4.69K, and it's only when that vocal gets over the top. So real quickly, to explain what I did on the compressor, we went with a fairly slow attack, but it needs to be fast enough to catch the front end of that vocal. So we're right at 24 milliseconds. The release, you want it to release fast enough that it doesn't sound over compressed, and you want it to focus just on the vocal sound and to grab as little of the backing track as possible. So I went with a fairly fast release, but again, it has to be slow enough to hold on to the vocal just long enough. As far as the threshold goes, I'm around minus 40.5. What that equates to with this track is we're hitting at about 5 to 6 dB of gain reduction max. The ratio, I started at 6:1 and ended up backing off to 4.12:1 because it sounded a bit more natural to me. The range of our high mid frequency, I narrowed quite a bit to where we're only going from 2.63 to 4.69K. By pushing that vocal back, I felt like we might have lost just a little bit to the high mid-range of the track. Having lost a little bit of high mid-range, I want to do a little bit of overall compression and EQ. Compression we've gone over in an earlier segment, but I'm going to use the UAD mainly Varimu. I'm hitting almost 4 dB on the gain reduction side. I've got a medium attack and a medium release, and to some that would be considered over-compressing. However, I have a wet-dry mix knob on this plugin, and so I'm backing off to blend in some of the dry signal, so the effect is not quite as drastic. This is often referred to as parallel compression.
Where has passion gone of our glory days, when our hearts desire was to seek your face?
So that plugin just helps it glue together a little better. And now what I want to do is go to the massive passive EQ and add some life back into the track.
Where has passion gone of our glory days, when our heart's desire was to seek your face, and we gave our lives.
So real quickly, since we've already gone over additive EQ in another video, I'll just briefly go over what I did. We've got a shelf at 8.2K and are boosting. At 1.5K, we're also boosting and have a fairly wide Q, and we're also boosting a 100 Hertz shelf. At the very top of the spectrum, we have a low-pass filter at 15K, and at the very bottom of the spectrum, we have a high-pass filter at 23 Hertz. Now back to more on taming the vocal. Now we've also used the Precision K stereo before, but this time I'm going to use it in a slightly different way. We're still going to enhance the image, but what I also want to do is use it to further control that vocal. All right, let's go ahead and open up the Precision K stereo and we'll play the track. What I'm going to do, I've already got my ambience and my EQ for the ambience set. We went over that in another video. But what I want to show you in this is using the mid-side gain to control the center, and the center is where our vocal lives. So what I'm going to do is back off of the mid, and it'll push that vocal further down into the mix.
Where has passion gone of our glory days, when our heart's desire was to seek your face, and we gave our lives to the net.
I also turned the sides up just a little bit because I like what it did to the stereo delays on the vocals. It made for a really nice effect. Something to keep in mind, since we did pull the mid gain down, is that the bass guitar and the kick drum are usually part of your middle information as well. So I want to go back to the BX EQ and make sure we didn't lose too much there.
Where has passion gone of our glory days, when our hearts were sore?
Remember, on our BX EQ, we're working in mid-side right now. So when I boost 71 Hertz, I'm going to widen the Q a little bit. It's only happening in the middle.
As we sing our praise, and a hush would fall as the dead were raised.
Now let's listen to the mastered version versus the unmastered version.
Of our glory days, when our heart's desire was to seek your face, and we gave our lives to the narrow way, living out your love through amazing grace.
Okay, great. So I like the space our mastered version has over the mix. I like that the vocal is sitting back in that mix nicely. And at the end of the chain, same as always, you want to go with a limiter to raise your levels and get it to a competitive volume. Another interesting thing you can do using this method, the combination of the BX EQ and the Precision K stereo, is say you get a track where the cymbals are just too much. They're just overbearing. For example, the sides could be EQ'd where the cymbals live. Also, you could do some multiband compression to the very top end. And finally, using the Precision K stereo, it would look probably opposite of this. You'd use your mid-side gain to pull the sides back. Well, that does it for this video, and I hope you were able to get something out of it. I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time for our wrap-up, Mastering with UAD Plugins.